talk about it. Tell me all about it. I'm here. I want to know what's on your mind. Ooh, the world needs to hear from you, and I'm so glad to have a conversation to reach the nation. And it's all about you. We'll help each other to discover innovative ways to positively change the world. Let's talk about Conversations with Nicole.
Greetings. Happy Wednesday. Welcome to Conversations with Nicole. I am Nicole Everett, your host, and today is what I call Wellness Wednesday. Wellness Wednesday is an opportunity for you, me, and my guests to have a conversation about whatever it is we want to talk about. And today we are talking about suicide and social media. So, for those of you who may be new to the platform, Conversations with Nicole is a talk show based in Tallahassee, Florida, focused on connecting the community through conversations. And so we have been talking around mental health and wellness, and particularly in the Black and Brown communities, trying to normalize the conversation around mental health and wellness and eliminate the stigma associated with counseling and therapy. So we're all about encouraging folks to get their checkup from the neck up and be kind to your mind. So this is an engaging format. We encourage folks to comment and ask questions in the chat. We are live on Facebook, YouTube, and on Greater Works Network on RokuTV. So if you have a RokuTV app or player, you can access Greater Works by adding us as a channel option. And we also have the Greater Works Network app for Apple and Android. So there's several ways that you can watch us. So tell a friend, like, comment, share, tell them they need to be on here because this is a very important conversation. We try to do one suicide show a month. And so we are kicking off June. We just finished up Mental Health Awareness Month, which is May, but June is Men's Health Month and also Pride Month. And so we're going to be, we can, even though suicide is a tough topic, I think it's important that we cover it. And so I'm super excited about our guest today, who we've had several conversations around this and some other mental health topics. So I'm going to introduce her in just a little bit, but I see some of you already chiming in. Y'all know what to do in the comments. I need to know what city and state are you tuning in from. If you will, let us know so we can give you a shout out. I see you, Miss Maya. Thanks for tuning in. Miss Maya is right here in Tallahassee. And my godmom, Corliss, down in Miami, Florida. Thank you so much for tuning in. And Mr. Carlos Mackey, I understand that Mr. Carlos is right here in Tallahassee. So thank you for the support tonight. We really appreciate it. Again, if you would, please like, please share, please comment, and let folks they need to get on here and be a part of this conversation. We might learn you something today. All right. Hey there, Dan the Man Richardson, right here in Tallahassee. Thank you for tuning in. And Miss Marion Evans, thank you so much for being here. I appreciate you. All right. So while others are tuning in, chiming in, and putting in their city and state, I'm going to go ahead and introduce my very special guest, Miss Marissa Batie-Collier. She is a licensed master social worker and is the business owner of SG Mental Health Counseling, Collier Consulting Group, and the Lauren Brown Foundation. She is the author of The Clarinetist and Love is Not Abusive, How to Support a Loved One in a domestic violence relationship, as well as the host of the Entrepreneurs Therapist podcast. She's an alumni of Florida State University, go Noles, with a bachelor and a master's degree from the College of Social Work. Marissa's purpose driven passion is to empower and educate underserved communities to decrease stigma associated with mental illness. Also, as a side note, SG Mental Health Counseling will be offering free teen group therapy on Mondays beginning June 6th, creating a safe space for teens to share their feelings. So help me welcome Miss Marissa Batie-Collier. Yay.
Hello, hello, hello.
Hey. Welcome,
Hi.
welcome.
Thank you for having me.
My pleasure, my pleasure. So tell the peoples who may not know who Marissa is, because I've already described what you do. Who is Marissa Batie-Collier? Let them know.
First thing that comes to mind for me is I am a servant. I'm a servant to the community. I love community service. Community service is what I do. I love getting down in the trenches, being able to educate others. Those resources. A lot of my friends be like, "Okay, hey Marissa, do you know this particular resource?" So I'm a resource guru. I'm a mother to three beautiful children, Tamarick, Lauren, and Eric. I am a wife to my husband, Thomas Collier. We've been married way too long, but absolutely the love of my life.
Oh,
Um, and that's just a little bit about me.
okay, good deal. All right. Well, thank you for sharing that. So tell the folks that might not know about your history in the space of mental health. What prompted you to start your business?
Absolutely. Oh my gosh. So y'all have to excuse me, if I cry behind this, right? Because I am so passionate about my why behind the story. And I completely forgot my tissues because I am a water barrel from when I tell this story.
It's all good.
And so for me, the why behind SG Mental Health is because my grandfather, SG is his initials.
Mm-hmm.
And so, you know, my family, like so many others, communities of color, swept mental health under the rug. It wasn't really dealt with. It was just kind of one of those things. You take it to the Lord in prayer, and that's where we left it at.
Mm-hmm.
And so, as I became an adult and I learned his story, I became a caretaker for him. He started opening up and sharing with me the gaps in care in regards to his mental health. And so some of the gaps he, mentioned to me, he said, "You know what, Marissa, I would stick with mental health, but there is no one that looks and sounds like me." So he had no motivation to
Mm-hmm.
continue. And then another thing he said to me, he said, "You know what, Marissa, it would be nice if I just had somebody to call in and check on me, remind me about those coping skills that I learned in therapy if I would actually be engaged in it." And so from there, that birthed SG Mental Health Counseling. And so with that, just being able to empower, educate our communities of color, not just communities of color, but, educate our community because education is so important. And so that's the why behind the story of SG Mental Health in a nutshell.
No, and that's a wonderful story. Actually, I've had at least one other clinician that has been on that talked about a family member that said that they would get involved with counseling if they could find someone that looked like them. And they searched. And in fact, I think time was in upstate New York, and she couldn't find anybody except for in New York City. And that inspired her to go to school and get her degree and become licensed and serve the Black community. And so I think that's a wonderful story. So thank you for sharing that.
Thank you.
My pleasure. All right. So before we get started, because I have a professional on my show, we got to do the disclaimer, which states that all topics, past, present, and future, on Conversations with Nicole are for informational purposes only. They are not to be used as a diagnosis for treatment or answer to any personal issues related to the topic being discussed before, during, or after the program. So there, I said it again, encouraging you to get with a clinician, someone who is licensed or working on licensure. All right. So here we go. Suicide in social media. So I will just um, brief the audience in that, this may be triggering in terms of some of the things that we discussed, but it's an open and a real conversation. And again, it needs to be had. I will also, and we'll put some resources up on the screen so that if you are, experiencing some suicidal thoughts or ideations, there are some resources that you can reach out to. But I want to share, how we even got started on this, Marissa, and that was based on a story that you told me, that an article that you actually sent me, and that was around a 17-year-old boy who had been part of well, how do you say it?
Sextortion.
Extortion. And I was like, sextortion, what is that? And so the long and the short of it is, this young man um, had sent some nude pictures of himself, thinking that he had been communicating with a young lady who supposedly had sent some nude pictures of herself, and that wasn't the case. And the person on the other end of the chat with him had requested that he send $5,000 in order for them not to release these pictures of him. And so he came up with about $1,500 of the money, and they were demanding the remainder of the money, and he took his life. He killed himself. And so when you told me about this, Marissa, I was just blown away and thought to myself, and said to you immediately, like, we have got to talk about this. We've got to talk about, these digital platforms, and some of the ways that folks are taunted and tricked into thinking that they are talking with, a certain person, and they're not. And just some of the things that folks should be aware of, and particularly our young people, right? And particularly our youth, our teens, our young adults, who, just for whatever reason don't, well, we kind of know some of the reason, and so we'll get into some of that as well. But they just get caught up in this. And so I wanted to just kind of start there in terms of sharing with the folks how we kind of got into this conversation. Um, and there's really more to delve into that. So, Marissa, I'm going to kind of turn the conversation over to you to kind of expound a little bit about, what I've already shared, if you don't mind.
Sure, absolutely. So, again, this is a much needed topic. I don't think I've ever seen on a social media platform where somebody was discussing uh, sextortion. And so, what does that look like? As Nicole said, that's somebody that's, they want to befriend you. They want to start a romantic relationship or a friendship. So they really start trying to establish that bond with you. And so, as you develop that relationship, you begin to become comfortable with them. It may start with something simple. Hey, can you send me a picture of your feet or something, just something really, really simple. And then they say, they might talk about, okay, let's say we've been dating on social media, right, for maybe like 6 weeks. Well, we've been dating for 6 weeks, and you haven't, shown me that you love me. So one of the ways that you can show that you love me is through sending me a picture, right? So if if you send me a picture, I'll send you a picture, or vice versa. And then they'll say, it's just between me and you.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how it gets started.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I don't know if people are like me, but I'm an educator. I love being educated on things like this. And so when it comes to sextortion, what are we looking for? You're looking for changes in your child's behavior, right? So if you notice that they're in their room, they're normally the laptop is open, you can walk by, you can see what's going on, but then now you see they starting to close the door, or there's a lock on the laptop or tablet or phone. So you start seeing those changes. Is there increased isolation when it comes to their behaviors? Are you seeing where your child is spending again more time alone? And from there, it can just explode into just madness with the kid, where all of a sudden they're feeling pressure from this fake entity, right, who
Mm-hmm.
befriended them. Hey, I'm your girlfriend, I'm your boyfriend, I'm a safe person for you to talk to. Remember, I told you, about something that was safe with me, and so now my secret is safe with you. So if
Mm-hmm.
you send these pictures, they are safe with me.
Right.
And from there, building that trust with this said person, then you become, or the child becomes victim. They'll say, you know what? So since you sent me a nudie, I'm going to send it to all your friends, because remember, I befriended you on social media platforms. So
Mm.
now I'm going to inbox this to every last one of your friends on social media.
Yeah.
How do you deal with that? And you're 13.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Talking about pressure. It's, do you feel safe enough going to have that conversation with your parent?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So the level of embarrassment or shame,
Mhm.
associated with that, um, could push someone to thinking they just can't live with themselves
Mhm.
as it relates to that.
Mhm.
And so, you know, social media has really just taken over um, our lives
Mhm.
in many regards. And when I say taking over our lives, I mean, if we forget our phone, you know, these smartphones, if we forget it at home before we leave to go to work, a
Mhm.
lot of us feel, you know, naked almost.
Absolutely. It's the end of the world.
Mhm, 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 mhm. Or if we don't check our emails or, um, some of the platforms, right? Some
Mhm.
of us have even smart watches where we can see things on, connect with the World Wide Web on. And
Mhm.
so it has really, in many regards, come very addictive. It's interesting how, I think about how our language has changed. Like every day we're talking about something on social
Mhm.
media,
Mhm.
something on Facebook, something on Instagram, something on, a website or something on and so I'd say social media, but I would also like to expand that to just digital platforms, period. The
Absolutely.
World Wide Web, just period.
Mhm.
Right.
Mhm.
But social also has kind of taken over because of the engagement factor,
Mhm. Mhm.
because of um, the video and the audio and the thoughts and the feelings that come along with all of that, right?
Mhm.
We see people on social, and oftentimes it looks like they're living their best lives, and so then there's the comparison piece that goes on.
Mhm. Yes. Yes, absolutely. And let me interject.
Yeah.
So with social media, it's about that 30-40% of talking, somebody talking about themselves.
Hmm.
But then there's also, people love talking about themselves. It's that, just like you talked about, Nicole, it's that positive feedback, that positive sensation from dopamine. So there's that dopamine reward loop. So I'm going to pick up my phone.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to make a post about me. I'm going to see who all is liking and sharing and all those things. I'm getting that dopamine increase. And then when I see that people aren't really engaged, I'm not getting as many likes, that dopamine starts decreasing.
Mm-hmm.
And then from there, the cycle continues again.
Right. So that dopamine is a chemical
Mm-hmm.
within our brains that gives us that feel good feeling.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. And so, you know, I've over the years, because Facebook has been around about a decade now, or maybe even a little bit longer. Um, there've been some people that have talked about, what people will do for likes. And so that's that dopamine that you're talking about,
Mm-hmm.
right? Now,
Mm-hmm.
now, mind you, I believe most human beings do desire to be liked, do desire to be loved. But I feel like in many regards, or my thoughts are in many regards, um, folks have kind of taken it to a whole nother level
Mm-hmm.
with social media. And so let me poll the audience real quick. So if you all think that uh, social media in particular, oh, and E just said Facebook has been around for 17 years. Wow.
Wow.
So it's almost legal, right? Almost 18. Um, so let me go back. So my question is, what are your thoughts about um, social media and it being addictive? And I know that's not like a yes or no, but maybe you could say, yeah, let me know. Yes or no. You think social media is addictive? Let me know in the comments.
Mm-hmm.
Yes or no. Or give me a thumbs up or a thumbs down. Yes or no. Addictive social media. Do you think it is? Um, and you know how that works with addiction, right? Most people who are addicted to something think, oh, I'm not addicted. I can stop doing it whenever I want to.
Mm-hmm.
But try to go without social media for a week. Heck, a day for some folks. Oh,
Absolutely.
look, so I'm getting a lot of thumbs up. Lots of thumbs up coming through. All right. So how have we let this happen? How have we let this happen? Because we
That's
didn't
a
grow
good
up.
question.
We didn't grow up with social media, Marissa. How have we
No,
let
it
this
did
happen?
not. You know, I'm gonna say I fall privy into this too, right?
Mm.
So, social media has become the new
Mm.
babysitter for a lot of people.
Let me
It,
pause real quick with Monica's
Mhm.
comment. She said it is. She said that is the reason I still have a flip phone. I refuse to
I
buy.
love it.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Go ahead, Marissa.
Yes.
Continue.
So what I was saying was that, social media has become the new babysitter.
The new babysitter. Okay.
It's the new babysitter. It's I need you to be quiet. Let me hand you my phone. Let me put on some YouTube.
Mm.
I saw a TikTok video the other day. The little kid had to be maybe 15 months having a tantrum and having a tantrum over the cell phone. And when the mother gave the baby, the toddler, the cell phone, stop crying.
Hmm. Wow.
It's the new
Wow.
normal. And we got to work to change that because that means we're programming our kids, our youth.
Yeah. Yeah. We are. We are. We are. We are. So we got to do some deprogramming, right?
Absolutely.
It's so interesting to hear people talk like it's uncontrollable, and the children don't come out of the womb with devices, right? They're given devices by
Absolutely.
their parents or their siblings or their, whoever's caring for them.
Hmm.
And so we control that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it's one of the things that I like to call a learned behavior.
Hmm.
that behavior is is taught, by the parent. Hey, it's okay.
Okay. So tell me, I know you before we jumped on, you talked about some
Sure.
statistics as it relates to the more popular platforms. So I'm going to ask the viewers, which platform do you believe is most popular?
That's gonna
Or
be.
what age group did you tell me, Marissa?
We have ages 13 to 17. What is the most popular social media platform? And then we
Okay,
have
so
18 to 24.
okay, so 13 to 17. In the comments, y'all enter in the comments. What do you think is the most popular platform for that age group? Most popular platform for that age group? Is it MySpace? Is it Facebook? Is it Snapchat?
Ooh, took
Is
it back.
it look? Is it Twitter? Let us know in the comments. I want to hear from you. All right, let me see. Dan said it happened because people have lost natural affection of being in front of people
Mhm,
who can see and feel their emotions. Dan, I agree with you.
mhm.
I do, I do, I do. All right, so Pumpkin said TikTok, Jamil, TikTok, Maya. She said for the teenagers, I think it's Instagram, for young adults, Facebook. Okay. Craig Henry, what's up, Craig? He said TikTok. E said TikTok. Monica said IG. All right. All right, let them know. What is it? What is it?
It is none of those. It is YouTube. Y'all know YouTube is secondary to Google.
Hmm.
If you don't know about it, or if you want to try to watch a series or anything like that, you're going to go to YouTube. YouTube is used by 85% for ages 13 to 17.
Hmm.
And for ages 18 to 24, 94%. So
Using.
YouTube is the top
Wow.
social media platform.
Wow. 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 Okay. Interesting. 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 About some of the, I guess, signs, if you will, especially with youth utilizing social media and the possibility of them being preyed upon. So isolation, them kind of hiding their
Mm-hmm.
screen, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Anything else?
Again, any of those major changes that you see, anything that's out of character for them,
Mm-hmm.
and even if you start to see those signs, you know, don't be afraid to peek every now and then to see, what are they on?
Mm-hmm.
You know, educate your kids. If it sounds too good to be true, then it probably is.
Yes.
There are people who prey upon kids and adults, getting catfish, right? So I'm
Mm-hmm.
gonna go through, if I want to know about Nicole, I'm gonna go through all of Nicole's social media platforms. And then I'm gonna do a friend request.
Mm-hmm. Right. So
I'm gonna
when
do a mhm,
you do that friend request,
mhm. I do that friend request, and then I'm going to put all the information that I learned about you. I'm going to make it as a part of who I am. I'm going to become a wolf in sheep's clothing
mm-hmm.
to you. So
Mm-hmm.
you're not going to be able to see those red flags.
Right. So, I guess I'm gonna also again get the audience involved. How many of you that have children who are not adults have some type of parental controls on your child's phone or tablet or maybe the laptop or desktop that they may use? Any parental controls, if you will, give me a thumbs up, a church finger, raise your hand, let me know. How many of you engage in some type of parental controls on your child's devices? Let us know. Okay. Jamil said, we definitely, most definitely we do. Okay. So this also just requires some more policing. And, oftentimes I think, parents don't want to get that involved, because now it's like, ugh,
Mhm.
I'm already busy trying to um, be the best parent that I can from the standpoint of providing you with food, clothing, and shelter, and making sure you're doing your homework and all this, and now I gotta police these devices, right? But if you don't, you just don't know what could be going on, right?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
So, what are your thoughts about policing devices?
You know, so I'm a parent of three, right? So, with each child, you got to do something different.
Right.
And so, in the beginning, I was one of those parents who was like, they need to have their own privacy. I kind of went through things blindly, right?
Mm-hmm.
And until I had to be like, okay, something's wrong. Like I saw those signs I talked about earlier. I saw where you're spending more time in your room. Now your door is closed, the door is locked. All of those things were going on. And so, we've always had the passwords to all of our kids' devices. Like you cannot, you can have privacy, but I never really wanted to invade their privacy because I felt like it was, maybe the child, my children thought that we didn't trust them.
Mm-hmm.
But it definitely was not that. Now, until the trust was broken, y'all know how we get when the trust is broken. And, I remember, looking, one day just happened to go in my middle child's room and looking at some things. Laptop is left open, and I'm looking at the screen, and I'm like, oh, okay, we're in a book club, so on and so forth. And then so I start reading the comments, right? There was a whole back page to the kids book club.
Hmm. What kind
So
of
when you
back
click on
page?
the back page was all the foolishness going on.
Like what?
Like a little bit of everything, people asking to send pictures, or people saying, hey, this is my sexual orientation.
Hmm.
There were people that was it was a little bit of everything was going on in the back page, and it was not kid friendly. But the cover story was to draw these kids in, was
Mm-hmm.
these animation with anime and all of those type things. And so, the kids are just clicking on these sites because, they're into this whole animation. I'm sorry, anime.
Yeah.
I'm still trying to get my credentials up on that. And turns out, like I said, it was a hoax.
Wow.
And so, in discovering that, I had to be like, you know what? I don't know what kind of foolishness this is. I noticed that there's a change in your behavior. What's
Mm-hmm.
going on? So, I had to have that difficult conversation.
Mm-hmm.
What is really going on here? And from there, child was able to tell me exactly what was going on. And you know what I had to do? I had to do a technology contract. And I know a lot of people don't feel like
Mm.
it's okay,
Okay.
but I had to do a technology contract. And guess who helped write the technology contract? What was those consequences going to be?
Technology contract. I'm taking notes, right?
Technology contract. So it talked to, you will not be on the following sites,
Mm.
you know,
Okay.
for X amount of period of time. When we revisit this, what does that look like? So we put
Mm-hmm.
parameters on that.
Wow.
And then we also had, you know, middle child to say, okay, if I violate, here are my consequences. And
Mm.
it was some, you get strike one, you get strike two, you get strike three.
Mm-hmm.
And luckily with that contract, it worked. So I'm not gonna say it's gonna work for everybody,
Right.
but it's important to let them know, let your kids know that you mean business when it
Mm-hmm.
comes to this, because their lives are so important.
Yeah.
As parents, we have a duty to protect our kids.
Absolutely.
And they may not be, and probably is not, right, educated enough to figure out if the person on the other screen is actually a kid or if it's an adult,
Yeah.
that's trying to get you involved
Yeah.
in sexploitation.
That's a predator. Indeed. So Maya said the scary thing is that there are so many loopholes for kids to be able to navigate around those controls. So my kids' activity is synced
Mm-hmm.
my own devices.
Mm-hmm.
So that's another, I feel like
Yes.
a solution or a tip or
Yes.
technique. I've not heard of that, but
Yes.
thank you for sharing that,
Yeah.
Maya. And so
Yeah.
she
That.
said, what you were just talking about are the loopholes that she's talking
Mm-hmm.
about.
Mm-hmm.
Mm,
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And that was for what worked with that particular child, right?
mhm,
So, in my family, dealing with some family members that have mental health with their kids, it's that whole thing of, you know, um, they actually shut off social media. So, and then they have to get access from their parent to even log on to certain sites.
mhm.
So
Okay.
just as the viewer mentioned earlier, being able to have those parental controls are so important.
Mhm. Yeah, Dan said make policing a part of their home culture environment so they won't think it's strange when never checking behind them.
Absolutely, Dan.
I agree, Dan. Yep, I agree. I agree. So let me just do a little station break for those of you who may be just joining us. This is Conversations with Nicole, and today we are talking around suicide and social media with my guest, Miss Marissa Batie-Collier, the founder and CEO of SG Mental Health Counseling Agency. And so we've been talking around, some of the things that youth in particular may experience while on social media and some of their behavior changes, which might include isolation, hiding their screens, um, doors being closed and locked, them
Mhm.
wanting more privacy. And some of the solutions around that are, Marissa mentioned a technology contract, synced child devices to your devices. And Dan also mentioned making policing of their
Mhm.
devices as part of the home culture and environment so that they don't think it's strange. So definitely want to highlight that. So one of the other things that I found um, in preparing for today's conversation was some language that I had not heard of before. And this was as I was trying to find a song to post in my stories. And the song talked about social media, but it talked about KYSing. And I was like, what is that? And so I polled some people this morning, and I actually sent a text to about 16 people asking if they knew what KYSing is. 10 people responded immediately. Only two out of that 10 knew what it was. Only two out of the 10 knew what that was. And so, just for the sake of time, I'm not going to ask you all of it to put it in. I know my fellow co-workers who I had this conversation with today know what it is, but KYS means kill yourself.
Mhm.
So, I actually reached out to Marissa, and Marissa said she knew what it was.
Mhm.
And this is, just some of the lingo that is used by, folks on social media. Maybe not, you know, um, maybe not amongst maybe adult populations, because of course there were a lot of adults that I asked that question to. When I say adults, I mean like up in age adults. Um, I actually asked a young lady who I consider to be a mentor. She's getting ready to complete her sophomore year in college, and she knew what it was immediately. And so, again, just a whole nother lingo that's taking place. And so, Marissa, talk to us about some of these hashtags or some of the language that is taking place in the digital world and on social media.
Mhm. Absolutely. So, hashtags have become a part of our everyday life, right? So, half the time, I'm not really big on social media, but I'm like, okay, well, what hashtag can I use to draw the attention of the social media audience, right? So, just as a professional, I do that, but people do this all day, every day, right? And so with those hashtags, that can become a conversational piece. It's a way to how do you quickly spread this word, right? And so hashtags also is a verbal expression for feelings. So
Mm,
that can be hate, that can be love, that can be humor. And so, in the teenage communication world, right? Hashtags have become a valuable insight. And so for parents, it's valuable insight for where your child is emotionally. So there are some red flags to pay attention to.
mm.
So can um can somebody tell me, what does hashtag fake smile mean? What do you think that means?
Fake smile.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna put it in the chat. FAKE
Mm-hmm. Smile.
smile. All right. I'm not up on that. So does anybody know what hashtag fake smile means? And while y'all are commenting in the comments, I'm gonna put up Dan's comment. He said communication is key to relationships. Parents must have
Absolutely.
those conversations with their children
Mm-hmm.
because in most situations, everyone else is talking these I think talking about these issues, but the parents remember to talk with and not at.
Absolutely. We're going to talk about that because you got to create a safe environment for your
Absolutely.
children to feel comfortable.
Absolutely. Thank you, Dan. All right, y'all. Okay, hashtag fake smile. What do y'all think that means? Hashtag fake smile. Hashtag fake smile in the comments. Let us know. I'm trying. I'm trying to wrap my mind around that. The only thing that comes to mind for me is maybe somebody being phony or.
Mm,
All right. Jamil said depression.
mm.
Anybody else? Any other takers? I know this is this is like solving a mystery around here.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
All right, I can't stand them.
Okay.
Tell us, tell us.
So, hashtag fake smile, that's a hashtag for an eating disorder. But it has the appearance of, you would think, right? If you saw hashtag fake smile, like, hey, I'm going through the motions, has something to do with depression.
Hmm.
That's an eating disorder.
Wow.
Secret Society 123,
Hmm.
eating disorder.
Interesting. Okay.
And there are those more ones that are apparent that you would know, if it had bulimia, hashtag bulimia, or hashtag
Mm-hmm.
bulimic, then you would
Right.
know those are eating disorders. Hashtag ED also is for
Eating.
eating disorders.
Okay.
Mm-hmm,
Wow.
mm-hmm,
Didn't know that. Didn't
mm-hmm.
know that. All right.
What about hashtag can't sleep? What does that mean?
Hashtag can't sleep. I would think insomnia.
Mm,
I know that's too. That's like too much. Like right. That's that's too normal. Hashtag can't sleep. I don't know. Sleep deprivation. I know it. I know that's not it, but
mhm. It has nothing to do with sleep.
really,
Self harm and depression.
can't sleep is self harm and depression. Huh.
Hmm.
Wow.
Yeah. And then, you have those more apparent ones, right? Hashtag suicidal, hashtag self hate, hashtag cuts. So you have those ones that are out in your face. It's those subtle ones that you need to pay attention to because, again, it has the appearance of something else is going on, right? If you see your child posting hashtag can't sleep, you're like, okay, like Nicole said, okay, they probably got insomnia.
Mm-hmm. but it's something else they're communicating.
So
Mhm.
remember, for the youth, it's all about communicating their feelings.
Right.
Their
Communicating.
feelings.
So the hashtags are communicating feelings.
hmm
Okay.
Most of the time, that's what it's used for. And there's a whole, like today, as I was doing my research, there's a whole hashtag for bullying,
Oh wow.
right? So hashtag butters. What do you guys think that means? So butter and then with the S.
Butters.
hmm
Okay. I'm gonna put it up here, but I don't know. Butters. Anybody have any clue? Cause I am clueless. Let us know, Marissa, cause I don't know.
Hashtag butters mean ugly.
Oh,
Ugly. So then you have hashtag um,
no, Ozzy had it.
derp, which means stupid. They have a whole hashtag series on bullying.
So a whole vocabulary, huh?
A whole vocabulary, hashtag sub tweet. And then, so that's where you're talking about somebody, but you're not using their name.
Hmm.
I've
Oh,
actually seen that one before, and I've actually had that happen to me.
oh wow.
But I
Huh.
was actually kind of able to read in between the lines. So,
Gotcha.
but of course,
Gotcha.
this is me as an adult, but young me wouldn't have been able to
Hmm.
understand that they were doing that.
Right. Right. So I don't. While we talking about suicide and social media, I don't want to paint the picture that social media is all bad,
Absolutely.
because some people actually are social on social
Mm-hmm.
media, and it can be helpful for them.
Mm-hmm.
So it can be a lifeline for them. I was reading an article from psych.com entitled Suicide Risk in Social Media, Is It a Landmine or a Lifeline? And there was a quote of sorts from a 14-year-old who spoke about playing games online with her friends and them helping her, and that's where she
Mm-hmm.
made most of her friends, and she tells them about difficulties that she's having, and they try to help her. Like if she's feeling suicidal, they talk her through it, and
Mm-hmm.
tell her that she can't do it because they care about her, and she found
Mm-hmm.
that to be helpful. So
Mm-hmm.
there can be social connections that are beneficial or helpful on
Absolutely.
social. However, oftentimes there are also um, connections that are not. And
Right.
so, especially with the young people, is, helping them navigate these types of
Mm-hmm.
things,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Because they may, think that this person who is quote unquote befriending them has their best interests at heart, and they absolutely do not.
Absolutely.
And so, hold on, let me see. Ozzy said everyone should know what 420 is, though numbers.
Yes, it is. And I was actually just looking at my list here. Nicole, you know what 420 mean?
That's that's the weed day. Yes, I
Absolutely. For hashtag 420. And then we also have hashtag CU446. But
see.
if you actually listen to what I just said, and so I just said 46, right? But if it's hashtag CU4sex is actually what it means.
What? Okay, I officially am old now, clearly, because I just what? All right, wow, yeah, you're gonna have to share that hashtag
I
uh
will.
vocabulary with us so I can post that on the platform, on the social media platform, so folks can be aware of what kind of conversations are going on and how people are feeling. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah. I did want to just kind of circle back a little bit in terms of the whole comparison piece. I think that also is where people get in trouble. Um,
Mm-hmm.
again, looking at social media, seeing people living their best lives or looking like they, are having such a great time and so much fun, and when they compare their lives to theirs, the person who they're looking at, there's an inadequacy or a wishing that they could be living their best lives too. And so,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
can you speak to that just a little bit, Marissa?
Absolutely. That's one of the things, that I hear a lot with our teenagers, especially with college. I even have some older people that struggle with that, right? With that comparison.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really thinking about and honoring, what am I thankful for? What am I grateful for? What am I proud of on my body, right? So, I could be talking about, my inadequacy, right? So for me, I'm gonna go ahead and put it out there. I've had 2 kids, right? I didn't do the trick that grandma talked about, making sure you wear your girdle and keep everything tight and all that kind of stuff. So you know what? My self-conscious is, ooh, I got a little extra tummy, but I'm okay and comfortable with that. But then I have to think about, you know what, Marissa? Actually, you do have a good grade of hair and you have your edges, right? So, you have to think about those things, what you are, what are you thankful for? I had a client, oh my gosh, and we laugh about this one all the time, Nicole.
Mm-hmm.
Her thing was, you know what? My eyebrows are crazy. My eyebrows are so crazy. Oh, I just had to take off my makeup. I was looking at the girls on Instagram and they're so beautiful and such and all this kind of things, right? Guess what I said? I want you to get on your phone. I want you to type in crazy eyebrows. She typed in crazy eyebrows, and when I tell you, we laughed for about a good 5 minutes.
Mm.
And what I had her to do was to compare. Do your eyebrows look like that? Oh no, ma'am, no, ma'am. I said, well, you said you had crazy eyebrows, right?
Mm-hmm.
And she was just like, oh, you know what? Wait a minute. Nah, I ain't got that. But what I also, when you talk about coping, what can you utilize? And I don't have anything in here with me, but doing a gratitude um, bowl.
Gratitude
When
bowl.
you
Okay.
have those negative thoughts that come in, you know what? I'm not happy with, my muffin top, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I am thankful for my hips, and I got it going on because a lot of people pay for this, and I got it naturally, right?
All
So
right.
thinking about those things.
Yes. So gratitude, whatever it is you're grateful for. So a gratitude bowl, gratitude
Mhm.
journal, gratitude
Yes,
list,
yes,
and going over that on a regular.
yes, and those affirmations. I know Jamil be heavy
Mhm.
on them. The
Yes.
affirmations are so important. It's going to help to work against, those cognitive distortions, that negative self-talk.
Hmm. Absolutely.
Mhm.
Absolutely. Yeah. Um, all right. So that's those are a few things that we can utilize, a few tips or techniques that we can utilize to combat the whole comparisons
Mhm.
issue. Any other, I guess, conditions or schools of thought that may be detrimental to um, our mental health in terms of suicidal ideations.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah, don't be afraid to ask for help.
Hmm.
As research shows and people talk about it all the time, there are signs. Pay attention to the signs.
Yeah.
You know, I had somebody very close to me that was reaching out, sending messages out to everyone saying, hey, here's how I'm feeling. And
Hmm.
sometimes, we have to recognize that sometimes we don't have that emotional support to give to somebody, and that's okay. But
Hmm.
link them up with somebody else who does.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid to give them resources to support them.
Mm-hmm.
and educate them.
Yeah.
And just as Dan mentioned earlier, creating that cultural norm to be able to have those safe conversations with our kids, with our loved ones, those ones that are close to us. I'm real big on pulling my kids real quick. If I notice that your energy isn't here,
Mm-hmm.
what does it look like here when you're operating at your low? We're at your lowest. And we can tell when our kids feel, when their energy or when our family member feel a little bit off.
Mm-hmm.
I'm real good about saying, how can I help you? What do you need from me today?
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's good. Definitely
Hmm.
want to do that. 'Cause that's all part of that self-awareness, right?
Hmm. Absolutely.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And so, and something every now and then, even with my own kids, I'll call them and say, okay, I'll do a life rating scale with them real quick. That's to see where they are emotionally. So I'll say, okay, how are you doing the student today? Because students have whew, let's talk about this pressure with stress with school,
Mm-hmm.
not only to conform to the school regulations, right? But the pressure from our parents.
Yeah.
If you make less than a B, you're not a good student,
Mm.
right? So it's being able to, I like to do that quick life rating. Hey, where are you today? My child may say, okay, I'm at a 5. I know with a 5, you're going to need some additional support from me as mom.
Mm-hmm. So that check-in.
That check in. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's good. Good stuff. So just a little bit more care that needs to take place and a little bit more mindfulness. We may not want to think about our young people in that way, but you just can never be too careful,
mm-hmm,
right? And you want to make sure that they're safe and um, not um, not thinking about harming themselves or not putting themselves in the way of someone harming them. To the best that you can, try to avoid that from happening.
mm-hmm,
You
mm-hmm,
know, because you can't be with them at all times and you can't protect them from all things. But again, we have talked about some of the warning signs, some of the solutions, some of the hashtags, even
mm-hmm.
as it relates to that. Anything else we need to be mindful of, Marissa?
Absolutely. Oh my gosh, I don't even know how I even forgot about this. I know, and you and I talked about this earlier in the week, Nicole. So, any parents, any educators, um, if you want to learn more about how do you care for your child, even adults, how do you care for them in a safe environment? How do you create that non-judgmental space? Go ahead and take a course, and there's some free ones out there. Mental health first aid. I'm looking at becoming certified in that so that I can educate our community on how do you care for youth, how do you care for adults. Yes, no, you may not have that clinical background, but you can provide some supportive tools to be able to get them the help that they need.
Okay. So, mental health first aid training, they
Hmm.
offer it, it's offered in various communities.
Yes.
I know our AHAC here in Tallahassee, they have adult classes that they offer. And I also will be promoting a youth class that's coming up the second Friday in July. And it's an all day class, and you receive a certificate
Hmm.
of completion. The certification is good for 3 years. And, I'm looking forward to being a part of that and getting that knowledge, receiving the knowledge and getting it out in the community. So
Hmm.
be on the lookout for those types of trainings because they will be helpful to our community at large. So
Absolutely.
thanks for mentioning that. All right. Well, we are wrapping up our hour, but I want you to give any last words, Marissa, as well as tell folks how they can connect with you.
Absolutely. So, again, don't be afraid to have that conversation. Sometimes we have to have those difficult conversations in order to move forward.
Mm-hmm.
And so the ways that you could reach SG Mental Health is, our social media platforms is SG Mental Health Co. Also, you call our office, so which is 850-536-6632. And also, I forgot to mention, we're going to be launching soon, like this month, the Leon County Community Resources Network. That is going to be the first community resources guide directory specifically aimed at communities of color.
Mm,
So, we are so excited to be out here um, doing this work, and we listen to the community when we talk about those gaps in care.
mm-hmm. Okay. And are you accepting new clients at this time?
Yes, we are accepting new clients at this time. If your kids are attending Palmer Monroe Teen Center or
Mm-hmm.
J Gate, the Community Teen Center, they can get free therapy services, free counseling. Also, we will be doing some parenting education going on as well. So look forward, follow us on our social media platforms so that you can get in those classes for free. So we are just so excited to be educating our community because I'm all about empowerment and educating and changing the narrative when it comes to mental health.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. Well, we are in alignment there because that's what we are all about over here at Conversations with Nicole. So you are the perfect guest for our platform and this discussion, trying to eliminate the stigma around mental illness and counseling and therapy. And so, thank you so much for being my guest today and for just sharing your knowledge. Don't forget, I need to get that list from you, that hashtag
Yes,
vocabulary list, so we can post that on our
absolutely.
platforms and get people, so we'll know what types of conversations are taking place. Uh,
Right.
we could decipher these conversations, right? These coded conversations.
Right.
Yes. So, yeah, thank you. Thank you to our viewers for your engagement tonight. Hopefully, you have been enlightened about some things that maybe you didn't know before. We appreciate you. And I also just want to invite folks again who are new to the platform to subscribe to Conversations with Nicole on YouTube, um, as well as follow us on Facebook and Instagram, and we're on Roku. So you can, if you don't want to do social media, you can watch Roku in the comfort of your home or on your device. But you would just add Greater Works Network as a channel. And anytime you turn on your television, we'll be right there. You can watch us live stream as well as on demand. So thank you all. Thank you all. Really appreciate all of the comments and the positive vibes tonight. Appreciate it. Oh, everybody chiming in. Hey there, Tosh.
Mhm.
So appreciate it. And Marissa, we're gonna have to have you come back, as well as some of the great folks that you have working with you, and give us kind of update on what you got going on, and as well as as I read in the bio, you got some other stuff you was holding back you didn't tell me about. So this whole
Yeah.
entrepreneur therapist podcast, and got something on domestic violence, and so yeah, we need to come back and talk about all of these things. So
Absolutely.
hopefully we'll have you come back on soon. So thank you again. You all have a great rest of the week. Um, I got She Tea on Saturday with Dr. Asha.
Oh, that's gonna be
uh,
good.
yes, so that is going to be good. We'll be at TCC Workforce Development Center. So I think yesterday was the last day to get your tickets, but you might want to check out Temple Fit Health to see if there might be some other opportunities to get a ticket, or plug in with somebody that might have some extra tickets. So, yeah, definitely will be there on Saturday supporting that effort and doing a presentation on the five love languages, the five love languages. So,
Ooh.
Yeah. All right. So June, like I said, is Men's Health Month. And so we have a lot of conversations around men's health coming up. So you don't want to miss it. You don't want to miss it. All right, good people. Well, y'all have a great evening, great rest of the week. And hopefully, if we don't see you this weekend, we'll see you next week on Conversations with Nicole. Bye.